My brother always had a way of being everyone's favorite. Family, strangers, it didn't matter. He mentioned he had nowhere to practice his guitar, and just like that, I was shipped off to boarding school. During those insecure and sensitive years, Roxanne was my only salvation. So I was on edge when I heard my brother was transferring to our school. I was so lost in thought I didn't even hear the final bell. Roxanne smiled lazily and tapped me on the head. That scared someone's gonna steal me away? Damn, who's the moron who doesn't watch where they're going? The next second, Roxanne's muttering stopped cold. My brother was standing in a sliver of sunlight, smiling at her. Sorry about that, I bumped into you. The next day, I went to find Roxanne in her classroom for our usual tutoring session. Instead, I heard her lazy voice. TSK, his brother isn't as bad as he made him out to be. He's actually kinda cute. The chatter and laughter in the classroom continued. I stood at the back door, blinking slowly. Ethan isn't as bad as Leo made him out to be. Roxanne's voice was languid, and she let out a soft TSK. He's actually kinda cute. I gripped the notebook in my hand, my knuckles turning white. Her friends immediately started teasing her. You've known him for one day and you already know him that well? What are you talking about? Roxanne laughed and gave her friend a gentle shove. He bumped into me by accident yesterday. My iced tea fell and splashed all over my school uniform. He found me this morning to get my number so he could send me money for the dry cleaning. In an instant, the laughter grew louder. Oh, maybe he just did that because he thinks you're pretty. He wouldn't have done that for anyone else. Wait, does that mean you gave him your number? Ha 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 ha. And isn't our school's queen bee the one who never adds guys? Yesterday in the hallway, Ethan had smiled and said, my brother's friend is my friend. It's great to meet you. My name's Ethan. Roxanne had pulled her hand back before he could shake it, leaving his smile frozen on his face. I'm just your brother's friend. That's it. That night, she'd even bragged to me about it. See, Leo? I'm always on your side. I'll have absolutely nothing to do with anyone you hate. The streetlights were dim, but her eyes shone like stars. In that moment, I thought the nightmare that had haunted me for years was finally over. But now, reality had just slapped me across the face. Panicked, I turned to leave. I moved too quickly, and a pen slipped from my pocket, clattering onto the tile floor. The laughter in the classroom died. I immediately bent down to pick it up. My fingers had just brushed against the cool plastic when Roxanne rushed out. Leo? When did you get here? Roxanne had beautiful eyes. Perfect, almond-shaped eyes that tilted up slightly at the corners. My favorite thing used to be secretly sketching them. But now, looking into her eyes, all I felt was a sense of distance. Just got here, I said, pulling my hand back. My voice was so calm it surprised even me. You guys looked busy, so I didn't want to interrupt. You're being too sensitive. Roxanne ran a hand through her hair, a rare look of panic on her usually relaxed face. He was just being really insistent this morning about paying me back. I figured if I just took the money for the dry cleaning, it would be over, and you wouldn't see it and get the wrong idea. So it's all settled now. I looked her in the eye and asked, word by word, if I asked you to delete his number, would you? Roxanne's expression froze, then shifted to annoyance. Leo, don't be like that. It's so awkward to just delete someone out of the blue. All he wanted to do was apologize. Do you have to be so dramatic? Dramatic? Those words were like a dull knife, slowly carving me up until I was a bloody mess. Something inside me shattered. I slowly pulled my hand away from hers, my voice soft. Yes, I do. The whole thing was ridiculous, but I couldn't bring myself to laugh. Roxanne froze.
Leo, I'm sorry.
She was cut off before she could finish. Ethan was walking up the stairs. He was wearing a clean white t-shirt today, looking particularly bright in the sunlight. Hey, Roxanne, he said, jogging over with a sunny smile. Thanks so much for agreeing to tutor me. I just transferred and don't know my way around. His eyes fell on me, paused for a second, and then crinkled into a smile. Is my big brother here for tutoring too? Perfect, we can all study together. I snapped my head up and stared at Roxanne in disbelief. A chill ran through me. Roxanne had great grades and a reputation for being proud and aloof. Many teachers had suggested she share her study methods or help out struggling students. But she'd turned them all down. All except me. I realized the special treatment I'd been secretly cherishing was something Ethan could get without even trying. Seeing my silence, Ethan's voice softened. We're brothers. You don't mind, right? My whole body was trembling with emotion. I took a deep breath and said calmly, I mind. Ethan looked helpless. Bro, are you mad? I just won't do it then. Roxanne stepped in front of him, frowning. Leo, he used to be a student athlete. His academic classes are really weak, and now that he's switching to the liberal arts track, he really needs help. So she already knew him that well. Then get a private tutor. My voice started to shake. Why does it have to be you? Don't be mad, I won't do it, really. Please don't fight because of me. He gathered his textbooks and turned, striding away. Roxanne instinctively started to go after him. I called out to her, my voice serious. Roxanne, if you walk away now, we're done. For good. Roxanne stopped and looked back at me. My eyelashes fluttered as a flicker of hope ignited inside me. But she just laughed coldly, her eyes filled with disgust. Leo, no wonder even your own parents don't like you. The hallway suddenly felt vast and empty. A draft blew through and I shivered. The notebook in my hand had fallen to the floor at some point. The wind flipped through the open pages, revealing the math problems Roxanne had stayed up all night organizing for me. I guess the relationship between me and Roxanne was like that water stain. It would dry up soon, leaving nothing behind. I walked back to my classroom in a daze. I don't know how much time passed. Suddenly, a rustling sound came from the back of the room. Startled, I shot my head up. A pair of long, pale hands lifted a school uniform jacket in the corner of the last row, revealing a cool, sharp face. Violet Lane, the genius who was always ranked number 1, Roxanne's sworn rival. She always sat in the back of the class sleeping, but she still managed to beat Roxanne on every single test. Violet sat up, the jacket sliding into her lap. Her voice was raspy from sleep. Sorry, I didn't see you here. Violet ignored me, staring at me for a few seconds before speaking slowly. What are you doing here? Don't you usually go to Roxanne for tutoring around this time? I was stunned. How did Violet know about Roxanne tutoring me? She was a total lone wolf and never paid attention to anyone else's business. Once, our homeroom teacher asked her to compile a list for a competition. She glanced at the sign-up sheet and said flatly, "Who's this? They're in our class." Don't recognize them. But because of her prominent family background, even the principal would greet her proactively, so no one at school dared to gossip about her. How did you know? I asked without thinking. The so-called it girl is always running over to our classroom, making a huge scene. Gossip flies around here. It's hard not to know. Violet's tone was flat, revealing no emotion. Violet raised an eyebrow, her voice carrying its usual indifference. With her skills, what could she possibly teach you? That was such an arrogant thing to say that I couldn't help but retort. You're top of the class, of course you don't care. Then I'll tutor you. What?
Ifroza, thinking ide mishiart.
Violet stood up and walked over to me. Looking up at her from this close, I realized her features were incredibly delicate. If it weren't for her reclusive nature, the title of Queen Bee probably would have never gone to Roxanne. I said, I'll tutor you, Violet repeated, looking down at me, her voice unhurried. Really? I felt like I just won the lottery. I was completely floored. But I have one condition. Violet leaned down slightly, meeting my gaze. Her eyes were unique, not almond-shaped like Roxanne's, but long and narrow, with a faint mole at the outer corner. What condition? From now on, the breakfast you bring for Roxanne, you bring for me. Violet spoke slowly, as if observing my reaction. Oh, and the flowers you bring her for the school talent show? You bring them to me. In short, she paused, a faint smile gracing her lips. From now on, you're my sidekick and my sidekick only. That wasn't a difficult request. Besides, I had no intention of having anything to do with Roxanne anymore. Okay, I heard myself say, promise. Tomorrow morning. A sandwich from the third counter on the second floor of the cafeteria. She turned and walked toward the classroom door, her tone cool. She stopped at the doorway, glanced back at me and said, "Oh, and bring milk. I don't drink soy milk." Mission accepted. I nodded solemnly. The next day, I just bought breakfast and was walking out of the cafeteria when someone blocked my path. Roxanne had faint dark circles under her eyes, a clear sign she hadn't slept well. "Leo," she said, her gaze falling on the breakfast in my hand. Her brow relaxed slightly. "I knew you wouldn't hold a grudge against me. I was wrong yesterday. I said some harsh things." As Roxanne spoke, she naturally reached for the bag in my hand. "This isn't for you." I sidestepped, avoiding her hand. Roxanne's hand froze in midair, her expression solidifying. "What did you say?" "This is for Violet." I looked her in the eye, my tone calm. Roxanne's expression shifted from disbelief to incredulity. After a long moment, she sneered, "Leo, are you done with this little drama?" She sighed in frustration, her voice softening slightly. "Look, I would have helped a stranger in that situation, too. Can you just stop overthinking it? You can help whoever you want. You don't need to explain it to me. The food's getting cold. I have to go." "Leo, stop joking around." "Violet? Everyone knows she's stuck up and comes from that kind of family. There's no way she'd ever pay attention to you." Before Roxanne could finish, she was cut off by a cool voice. "What's taking so long?" Violet had appeared at some point and was now staring coldly at the hand Roxanne had on my wrist. The morning light outlined her sharp silhouette. Her usually distant face was expressionless, but it gave off a strange sense of pressure. Violet casually took the bag from my hand, completely ignoring Roxanne. "Did you finish the problems I sent you last night?" I froze for a second, then nodded quickly. "Why, yes, I did." "Good. Give them to me." Violet held out her hand. "I'll correct them during morning study hall. Come get them from me after class. Finish the corrections before school ends, and I'll go over them with you." I immediately ducked my head to rummage through my backpack and followed her. "Here it is." I pulled out the neatly written worksheet and handed it to her. Violet took it and glanced over it. Your accuracy on the multiple choice section is pretty high." She turned, took a couple of steps, then looked back at me. "What are you standing there for? Study hall is about to start." "Oh, right." I hurried to catch up, ready to learn. But for the free response part, I'm still a little confused about that type of derivative problem, especially the second part. Roxanne stood frozen in place, her face ashen as she watched the two of us walk away side by side. When the bell rang to end the day, I was staring blankly at a physics worksheet. Violet sat across from me, her red pen leaving a trail of marks across the paper. She graded with incredible speed, but every comment was frighteningly precise. "Your force analysis is wrong," she said, tapping my paper. "Here, gravity and the normal force aren't a balanced pair. You missed the friction." "Got it." I quickly made the correction. The classroom door was pushed open gently. Ethan stood in the doorway. He had on a clean white button-down today that made his skin look very fair. The school uniforms had been distributed, but he didn't seem to have any intention of wearing his. He spoke softly. "Can I talk to you for a second?" I paused for a moment, then went back to my work. Ethan bit his lip but came in anyway, standing beside my desk. "I really didn't mean for yesterday to happen. I didn't know you didn't want me asking Roxanne for tutoring. I'm sorry. Can you forgive me?" The tip of my pen paused on the paper, bleeding a small black dot. "You can go now that you've said your piece," I said without looking up.
"I'm studying."
"I'm not leaving until you forgive me." Ethan stubbornly stood his ground. "Then you can just stand there." My voice was devoid of emotion. The classroom was quiet, with only the scratching of my pen on paper and the sound of Violet occasionally turning a page. The minutes ticked by. Ethan must have gotten tired of standing. "Violet, have we met before?" Violet didn't answer, but he didn't seem bothered. Then Violet spoke coolly. "Move. You're blocking the light." Ethan's expression instantly froze. I was stunned for a few seconds, a slight stir in my heart. The sky outside gradually darkened. The security guard came up to rush people out. Still studying? Time to go home, I'm locking up. Only then did I realize it was almost 8 p.m. That's enough for today. Violet packed up her books and pulled a pastry out of her bag, handing it to me. It's late. Eat this for now. Her thoughtfulness was a complete contrast to her cold exterior. The classroom was now empty except for me and Violet. Tomorrow, I want the shumai from the first floor cafeteria. Violet's expression was neutral. Violet. I called out to her. Thank you. She looked back at me and raised an eyebrow. For what? Nothing, I said, smiling as I hugged the pastry. I just wanted to say thank you. Time always flew when I was busy. The few months I spent studying with Violet were the most peaceful and fulfilling days of my high school career. As finals approached, our homeroom teacher announced that the school was providing private, unrestricted study rooms for the top-ranked classes. Go apply for one, Violet said after study hall, closing her notebook. Efficiency is key in the run-up to finals. Okay, I nodded. Should we go now? Yeah. We walked side by side toward the administrative office. When we pushed open the door, we saw two people I hadn't seen in a long time. Roxanne was standing at the dean's desk, with Ethan by her side. Mr. Davis, Ethan just transferred, and his foundations are really weak, Roxanne said in a gentle voice. I'd like to apply for a private study room to help him catch up. The dean pushed up his glasses. When he saw us, he frowned almost imperceptibly. Violet, Leo, are you two here to apply for a study room as well? Yes, Violet said, nodding concisely. We need a quiet environment for our final review. Well, the dean looked troubled. There's only one private study room left. The air went still. I opened my mouth, about to argue. Violet spoke coolly. Since when are grades something you can yield to others? Everyone looked at her. If academics are now about seniority, Violet said calmly, her voice carrying an undeniable force, then I might as well sit out the physics competition this year and give the underclassmen a chance to shine. The homeroom teacher's face changed. Violet was the school's ace for the physics competition. They were counting on her to win at the state or even national level. If she really pulled out, the school board would have his head. Not to mention, the new building on campus was funded by Violet's family. Well, the teacher immediately changed his tune. I've been thinking. Violet's academic performance is outstanding, and Leo has made huge progress this semester. It makes more sense for you two to use it together. Mr. Davis. Roxanne frowned. Ethan, Roxanne. The teacher cut her off, his tone leaving no room for argument. You and Ethan can go to the library. The environment there is good, too. All right, that's settled. He handed the key to Violet. Room 306. Take good care of this. Thank you, sir. Violet took the key, then turned to me. Let's go. I hurried to keep up with her. As we left the office, Roxanne chased after us. Leo! She cornered me at the turn in the hallway, her face grim. Do you really have to be so petty? Ethan is your brother. What's the big deal about giving up a study room? I stopped and looked at her. So it's my fault again, is it? My voice was terrifyingly calm. No matter what, as long as it involves him, it's always my fault. That's not what I mean. A hint of impatience crept into Roxanne's expression. But can't you just be a little more generous? He really needs this right now. And what about me? I couldn't take it anymore. Roxanne, don't I need it? I've given up my room for him, my parents' love for him, and now I'm supposed to give up my study space for him too? How much more do I have to give up before I'm considered generous enough? She opened her mouth but couldn't finish. You just think he's pitiful, I finished for her. But just because he's pitiful, does that mean I deserve this? With that, I turned and walked away without another glance. Violet was waiting at the top of the stairs, leaning against the wall with her hands in her pockets. She straightened up when she saw me. We walked down the stairs, one after the other, neither of us speaking. It wasn't until we were outside the academic building that the evening breeze hit us. Roxanne's blind. That's her problem, Violet said softly. It has nothing to do with you. When we were little, Ethan complained that studying was too hard and threw a tantrum, demanding to become a student athlete. My father tore up my sketches and told me, art school is too expensive. Our family can only afford one. Your grades are good, It's not like you have to study art. Is it really that serious? When we got a little older, Ethan complained that our house was too small and he had nowhere to work out, and my room just happened to have the best light. The next day, my things were moved to the attic. My mother said, "Some kids go to boarding school in kindergarten. You're a middle schooler, what's there to be afraid of living at school? Is it really that serious?" Later, I was mocked by my classmates for being a kid with no parents. The subtle hostility of the group made me insecure and sensitive. Ethan and I went to the same school but were in different divisions. Parent-teacher conferences were always held at the same time, so the seat next to me was always empty. I begged my parents to come to my conference just once. Just one of them, but they didn't take it seriously. That day, the class bullies locked me in the equipment room and poured cold water on me. They looked down at me, a hint of pity in their eyes. Weren't your parents supposed to come and back you up? The poor little orphan learned how to lie. That day, it was Roxanne who kicked down the door of the equipment room and took me to the hospital. And from that day on, she never left my side, afraid I'd get hurt again. But now, even Roxanne had been taken from me. It's not just her. It's everyone. My parents, teachers, classmates, everyone likes him more. It's happened so many times, I really can't stop myself from doubting myself. It's not just once or twice. It's every time. It's everyone. Violet stopped walking. I won't. I looked up, my vision blurred with tears. What? I said, I won't, Violet said, looking at me seriously. I won't like him more. I won't choose him. I won't think you should give in to him. Her tone was so certain that I forgot to cry for a moment. How can you be so sure? Couldn't help but ask. Violet was silent for a few seconds. Because I was drowning when I was little, and you saved me. I was never very likable and didn't have many friends. You were the only one willing to play with me. We were even childhood sweethearts. We pinky swore we'd get married when we grew up. I was stunned. But then your family suddenly moved away, and I never saw you again. Violet continued, her voice tinged with bitterness. I recognized you on the first day of school. Though it seems you don't remember me. I thought you had a new life. So I just wanted to watch over you from a distance. Are you kidding me? I wiped away my tears. How could I not remember something that huge? It's true. Violet's gaze was earnest. I promised you back then that it would be my turn to protect you. So I will always, unconditionally, be on your side. I was about to say something when a surprised voice came from behind me. It's you? Ethan had followed us at some point, and now his eyes were shining with an incredible brightness. He ran up to Violet. Violet, did you used to live at your grandmother's house? And do you have a birthmark on your shoulder that looks like a crescent moon? As he spoke, he actually reached out to pull at Violet's collar. Let go. Violet tried to stop him, but it was too late. The collar was pulled aside, revealing the light brown, crescent-shaped birthmark on her shoulder blade. The air froze. I stared at the birthmark, then at Ethan's excited face. For so many years, I had stubbornly oscillated between disappointment and hope, and in this moment, the final judgment had arrived. It really is you. Ethan's voice trembled with excitement. The girl I saved when I was a kid. It's really you. No wonder you looked so familiar when I first saw you. I was in no mood to watch their happy reunion. I turned and walked away almost instinctively. The steps swayed beneath my feet. The night wind seeped into my collar, chilling me to the bone. After returning to my dorm, I started studying, just like any other night. I told myself that nothing had changed. I could do just fine on my own. Worksheet after worksheet filled my brain. I don't know how long I wrote, until my fingers ached. The dorm lights went out. I sat in the darkness, silent. My eyes suddenly burned. I blinked hard, forcing the stinging sensation back. The next day, I began to actively keep my distance from Violet. I'd put on headphones as soon as class ended, turning the volume up high. I'd go to the cafeteria at the busiest times. I also returned the study room key to the teacher. I thought I had successfully desensitized myself. After all, similar situations had happened so many times, like a persistent curse in a fairy tale. Friday afternoon, it poured. Fat raindrops pounded the ground, falling faster and denser. Students without umbrellas crowded the hallways, complaining about the weather. I stood at the edge of the crowd, staring blankly at the gray sky. I forgot my umbrella again. It had been happening a lot lately. My memory was getting bad. Without warning, a black umbrella opened over my head. Violet stood beside me. "I'll walk you back." I took a step to the side. "No thanks." The cold rain instantly soaked my shoulder. "Leo." Violet followed, moving the umbrella back over me. "Violet." Ethan jogged up to Violet's side, his posture familiar, smiling up at her. "Funny seeing you here. The rain is so heavy, and I didn't bring an umbrella. Could you walk me to the school gate?" He didn't finish his sentence. My heart lurched. All the emotions I had been suppressing these past few days came crashing back. I held my backpack over my head and bolted into the rain. The voices behind me were drowned out by the downpour. I didn't look back. Probably because of the rain. I came down with a high fever when I got back to the dorm. After calling in sick to my teacher, I slept for 2 days. In a daze, I was woken up by a phone call. "Hello? Leo." My mother's voice came through the phone, unusually gentle. "Come home for dinner tonight. We have an important guest coming over." I was stunned for a moment, then managed to speak. "Mom, I'm not feeling well." "Then it's the perfect reason to come home and get some nourishment. I've made a huge meal. Oh, and take a taxi home today. Don't take the bus." Something stirred inside me. "Okay, I will." My eyelashes trembled. I hesitated for a few seconds before agreeing. "Okay, that's settled then. Remember to come with Ethan. He just sprained his ankle, he can't be squeezing onto the bus." The phone clicked off. The dial tone buzzed in my ear. I held the phone and smiled bitterly. So she wasn't concerned about me after all. She was just worried I wouldn't take good care of Ethan. "Leo, why do you always get your hopes up?" As I put the key in the lock, I could hear laughter from inside. I pushed the door open. The living room was brightly lit. My father looked up from the sofa, his brow immediately furrowing. "Why are you so late? Don't you know we have a guest today?" I looked down, changing my shoes. I had a fever, so I was at the clinic getting in 4. "Ethan sprained his ankle, and you couldn't even be bothered to help him." My father's voice grew stern. "What kind of older brother are you?" Ethan placed a piece of pork rib on my father's plate, his voice sweet. "Dad, why are you blaming my brother? It was my own fault for being careless. Besides, today's a happy day. Let's not talk about this." He looked at me, tilting his head with a smile. "Aren't you curious who our guest is today, bro?" I paused while taking off my jacket. Before I could say anything, there was a knock at the door. "Ah, she's here." Ethan's eyes lit up, and he practically skipped to the door. The moment the door opened, I saw a familiar face. Violet stood outside holding a gift bag. She was wearing a light gray trench coat, looking elegant and refined. My pupils contracted. I quickly looked away. My mother hurried out of the kitchen, her apron still on, her face wreathed in smiles. "Violet, you're here. Oh my, it's been so many years, you've grown so tall." She took the gift bag, her tone warm. "Is your grandmother doing well? I heard your family moved to those villas south of the city. What a coincidence. To meet again after all these years." Her gaze swept over me, paused, and then she smiled again. "It seems this childhood engagement was really meant to be. What are you standing there for? Let's eat." My father glared at me. I didn't move. My eyes fell on the round table. Every dish was one of Ethan's favorites. I smiled and said abruptly, "I'm allergic to seafood." A brief flash of embarrassment crossed my mother's face. How could I forget? "But we have a guest today. Mom wanted to make a big spread." My heart turned to ice. Even the last shred of self-deceiving hope was finally extinguished. I ignored her and went straight upstairs. From outside the door, I could hear my father's angry, hushed scolding. "Who are you putting on a long face for with all these people here today? Do you have any idea what kind of family Violet comes from? If Ethan can be with her, his future is set. You just can't stand to see your brother succeed. Can you? You have to ruin it for him, don't you?" The attic was small, with a low ceiling. Moonlight streamed through the skylight, illuminating the dust motes floating in the air. I crawled onto the bed, covered my ears, and curled into a ball. The house quickly fell silent again, with only the faint sounds of polite conversation drifting up from downstairs. The faint, musty smell of the quilt filled my nose. It only made me feel sicker. The dizziness from my cold washed over me again. I closed my eyes, feeling drowsy as tears silently slid down my face. There was a knock on the attic door. I pulled the covers over my head. The knocking came again, light but persistent. "Leo, it's me." Violet's voice came from outside the door. I froze. "You've been avoiding me, so I didn't have a choice. I had to come to your house. Let's talk. I have something to say to you." I stared at the worn-out ceiling for a few seconds, then got up and opened the door. "There's nothing to talk about." My voice was hoarse, my expression exhausted. "You're just here to tell me you won't be tutoring me anymore. Or are you here to demand an apology on Ethan's behalf?" I twisted my lips into a sneer, my emotions spiraling out of control. "Let me tell you, that's not going to happen. I suggest you get the hell out of here." With that, I started to close the door. The next second, my wrist was grabbed. Violet pulled me close and hugged me. My whole body went rigid. Her voice sounded from above my head. "I'm here to tell you, I've missed you." My mind went blank. I looked up at her, bewildered. My heart skipped a few beats. I was always so afraid of losing people, but I had never considered that someone might be afraid of losing me. "You haven't spoken to me in days," she said, her voice low in my ear. "I've been going crazy thinking about you. What are you two doing?" A sharp voice came from the top of the stairs. "Brother." Ethan's voice trembled. How could you do this?" "Violet is my fiancée." The sound of hurried footsteps came from downstairs. When my father saw us hugging, his face instantly darkened. Let go of her. So young and already causing trouble. How dare you try to seduce your brother's girlfriend?" I stared in disbelief at the people who were supposedly my family, my dead heart aching fiercely. "I think you've got it wrong." Violet scoffed, her brow furrowed. "When did I ever say I liked Ethan? And when did I ever say I was going to marry him?" Ethan's face grew even paler. But when we were kids. Have some shame, will you?" Violet cut him off bluntly. "You're not the one who saved me. You're lying." "Then how would I know about your birthmark?" Violet looked down at him, speaking slowly and deliberately. "Did you think I was like Roxanne? An indecisive fool easily swayed by appearances?" Leo was unconscious from choking on water. He suffered brain damage and lost some of his memories. "Back then, you didn't know about my family's status, so you ran off to avoid trouble. Now you see the Lane family's connections and want to push Ethan forward to take credit for saving my life. Is that it?" Ethan opened his mouth, but no sound came out. "I didn't." "You didn't?" Violet took her phone out of her pocket and pulled up a photo. "These are the hospital records from that day. I had someone look them up. Is that clear enough for you?" Ethan panicked completely. "Mom, Dad, say something." My father's face was beet red, his eyes darting away. "I only came here today for Leo. Since you can't take care of him, he can sever ties with you. After all, you broke his heart long ago. From this day on, the Lane family has his back. He has nothing to do with any of you anymore." Violet didn't spare them another glance and took my hand. "Let's go." Her palm was warm, enveloping my cold fingers. I followed her down the narrow staircase, through the living room filled with pictures of Ethan, and out of the house that I had lived in for over a decade but had never truly belonged to me. "I have an apartment near the school. You can stay there for now. I've already set everything up. If you need anything, just tell the housekeeper. Don't feel awkward about it. Liking someone means putting in time and effort. Besides, you saved my life. If you're not happy, my grandmother will never let me hear the end of it." She didn't get to finish. I turned around and hugged her. It was a light embrace, my arms wrapping around her waist, my face buried in her neck. Violet stiffened for a moment, then slowly relaxed, one hand gently resting on my back. "Violet." My voice was muffled in her clothes, along with my tears. "Yeah, I'm here." I'll pay you back one day. She was silent for a few seconds, then said softly, Leo, I don't want money. I just want you to stop crying. I thought life had finally gotten back on track. That morning, Violet and I walked into the classroom together. The once noisy classroom suddenly fell silent. Everyone looked up, their gazes filled with contempt, curiosity, and whispered speculation. I hesitated, my fingers tightening on my backpack strap. Ethan was standing in front of my desk, as if he'd been waiting for a long time. He was holding a large stack of books. I'm transferring back to my hometown today. You haven't been home or back to the dorm in days, so I had to come find you at school. The way my classmates looked at me changed. Someone gasped, covering their mouth. Leo seems so well behaved, but he's staying out all night? Where could he be staying? Couldn't be. Violet has been paying a lot of attention to him. I bet they're together. Ethan continued. Even though we're a blended family, I transferred here because I wanted to be closer to you. I didn't expect to still be hated. His gaze drifted vaguely toward Violet. But it's okay, I'll just leave. You should take care of yourself and be happy with Roxanne. I won't bother you anymore. The words were ambiguous, but the meaning couldn't have been clearer. The murmuring around us grew louder. No wonder Leo never mentioned his brother. Is he really going to abandon his brother for a relationship? That's so cold. Even if he is a stepbrother, you don't have to be so heartless. My breathing grew tighter. Violet was about to step forward, but I stopped her. Then I looked at Ethan. Are you done? Ethan was taken aback, probably not expecting me to be so calm. Bro, I just wanted what? I cut him off. To make everyone think I'm bullying you? To make everyone feel sorry for you? Ethan, how many years have you been pulling this act? Aren't you tired of it? Ethan's face paled. Since you feel so wronged, I said, grabbing his wrist. Let's go to the dean's office right now and clear things up in front of a teacher. Why you're really transferring and why you came here in the first place. Bro, what are you doing? Ethan panicked and tried to pull away, but I held on tight. A commotion started in the classroom. Students from other classes heard the noise and poked their heads out. A large crowd of onlookers followed us all the way. When we reached the stairwell, Roxanne rushed over. Leo! Her eyes were full of reproach, her brow furrowed. He's already leaving. Can't you just let him go? I couldn't be bothered to waste a single word on her. Move. Roxanne didn't budge. Ethan immediately took the opportunity to break free and hide behind her. Roxanne, just forget it. I bent down and picked up the manila file folder that Ethan had dropped in his panic. Oh no, we're not forgetting it. I wouldn't want my dear brother to feel wronged. And it'll save your precious Roxanne the trouble of playing the hero. He lunged for it in a panic. I dodged him easily and watched him fall to the floor. Ethan Porter, at your old school, you were dating a rich girl named Chloe. You skipped class, and her parents came to the school and slapped you in front of everyone. The whole school knew about it. Ethan's face turned white as a sheet. Your reputation was ruined. You couldn't stay at your old school, so you had no choice but to transfer. I held up the withdrawal notice. Now, that girl's parents have called our school's administrative office to complain, demanding that the school take action. So, you're not leaving on your own accord. You're being asked to leave. If you don't believe me, see for yourselves. Everyone started pointing and whispering at Ethan. Roxanne turned her head in disbelief to look at him. Ethan, is what he's saying true? Ethan's lips trembled as large tears rolled down his face. I was forced, she tricked me. Tricked you into what? I looked him in the eye. As I recall, you were the one who actively pursued her. Ethan, how much effort did Mom and Dad put in to cover this up? Do I need to spell out the details for everyone? Stop it. Ethan screamed. Roxanne, however, took a step back. She looked at Ethan, her expression shifting from shock to disappointment, and finally to a kind of indescribable disgust. You've been pretending this whole time? Her voice was soft, but it cut like a knife. You said Leo bullied you, that you never had a chance to study properly, that you were all alone after your parents were married. It was all fake? No, I didn't. Ethan broke down. I just liked you so much. I wanted you to pay more attention to me. Roxanne didn't spare him another glance. She turned to look at me, her expression complicated. Violet stepped between me and Roxanne and let out a cold laugh. Honestly, I'm curious if you even earned those grades yourself. Being this stupid, you're not going to try and claim you're a victim too, are you? Roxanne opened her mouth, but no sound came out. The bell for class rang. The crowd dispersed. I pulled Violet back to our classroom. The reflective glass of the classroom next to us showed Roxanne's rigid back. She stood there, motionless. News about Ethan eventually reached me. The parents of the rich girl he'd messed with were relentless and made a huge scene. No school would accept him. In the end, he never even got his high school diploma, completely cutting off his path to higher education. The story of how he had slandered me at school also spread quickly. The neighborhood gossip nearly swallowed him whole. I heard he developed severe bipolar disorder, smashing things at home and screaming at our parents all day. My mother's voice trembled as she finished. Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about these awful things. Leo, are you doing okay lately? I'm fine. I held the phone, looking at the ginkgo tree in the garden below. Most of its leaves had already turned yellow. That's good, that's good. She paused, her voice choking up. Mom knows she was wrong. I was confused before and I wronged you. I didn't say anything. There wasn't a single ripple of emotion in my heart. Leo, Mom has already lost one son. I can't lose you too. Please come back. Okay? Let's be a family again. The evening wind blew, carrying the chill of early winter. It's too late. Don't call me anymore. We should keep our contact to a minimum. I blinked slowly and hung up the phone. The screen went dark, reflecting my own face. No tears, no sadness, not even anger. Just a vast, empty calm. Violet came out of the study and handed me a glass of warm water. Are you okay? I shook my head and took the glass. The warmth seeped through the glass into my palm. It was very comforting. I just suddenly realized, I said, looking at the clouds in the distant sky, that whether they love me or not doesn't really matter anymore. What mattered was that I had finally learned to love myself. What mattered was that I had also found someone who chose me, without hesitation. Violet reached out and ruffled my hair. You deserve to be loved, Leo. You always did. The days passed like turning pages in a book. With Violet's help, my grades improved rapidly. I went from the middle of the pack to the top 10 in my class. Even our homeroom teacher praised me in class. Arden University. After the 100-day countdown ceremony, Violet was flipping through a college application guide. Let's go together. I nodded emphatically. Okay, that was our shared future. So bright it made my heart burn. With that goal in mind, I worked even harder on the subjects I wasn't good at. During chemistry lab, I stayed behind to repeat the experiment. I just want to reinforce the steps in my memory. I told Violet, who was waiting for me. It won't be long, though. Just 2 more steps, about 20 minutes. Violet glanced at her watch. I'll go get us food from the cafeteria then. It'll be ready when you're done. Okay. I want the sweet and sour pork ribs. She smiled. I know. I put on my goggles and focused on the equipment. I heard soft footsteps behind me. Assuming it was Violet, I smiled without turning around. That was fast. Was the cafeteria not crowded today? No response. I paused and turned around. Roxanne was standing at the lab entrance, her face pale. She looked much thinner, the blue and white school uniform hung loosely on her frame. Leo, she spoke, her voice a little hoarse. I didn't say anything and continued with my work. Can we talk? She walked in, stopping a few feet away from me. Just for a few minutes. I'm doing an experiment.
I'm busy.
I looked down to record my data. I know you don't want to see me. Roxanne's voice grew quieter. I just wanted to apologize to you. The tip of my pen paused on the lab report.
I'm sorry, Leo.
Her voice was startlingly clear in the empty lab. I was blind before and stupid. I believed Ethan and hurt you. I didn't look up. I still remember when you were locked in the equipment room, soaking wet and curled up in a corner, too scared to speak. Roxanne's voice trembled. I wanted to beat up every single one of those guys. I swore I would protect you and never let you get bullied again. But now I've become one of the bullies. The flame of the alcohol lamp flickered. Later, you slowly started to smile again. You'd share your drawings with me and bring me water when I played basketball. I thought we would be together forever. I put down my pen and turned to look at her. Roxanne, those days were real. But your choice to side with Ethan later was also real. Whether you meant to or not, the damage is done. Some things once said can't be unsaid. Some things once done can't be undone. A simple sorry doesn't erase any of it. Roxanne's eyes turned red. I know, she said, her voice raspy. I'm not asking to go back to how things were. I just want you to know that I truly know I was wrong. Before I could answer, the lab door slammed shut with a bang. Then came the sound of a key turning, the lock clicking into place. Roxanne and I both looked toward the sound. Ethan was holding a lighter, a look of almost manic excitement on his face. Leo, why does everyone like you? Roxanne, Violet, even Mom and Dad talk about you all the time now. I have nothing left. Ethan, are you insane? Open the door. Roxanne ordered coldly. Panic spread through me as I tried to turn the doorknob. Insane? Yes, I am insane. He laughed, his eyes full of tears. If I can't have it, then neither can you. Why should your life be better than mine? He raised the lit alcohol lamp and threw it into a cabinet full of chemical reagents. The flames erupted with a whoosh, instantly engulfing the wooden cabinet. Thick smoke billowed out, filling the air with a pungent smell. Cough, cough, I coughed violently from the smoke. The fire spread with terrifying speed, igniting the adjacent lab bench. More alcohol lamps were knocked over, and more flames shot up. Bottles of organic solvents began to swell in the intense heat. It all happened so fast. Leo! Roxanne rushed back to my side, pulling me into a relatively safe corner. Don't be afraid. I won't let you get hurt. The thick smoke had already obscured my vision. All I could see was a sea of dancing orange-red flames. The heat seared my skin, and it became harder and harder to breathe. I covered my mouth and nose, pulling out my phone with trembling hands to call 911. Ethan was still laughing, as if he couldn't feel the danger. Crash. A loud bang. The lab counter completely collapsed. Get down. Roxanne spun around, shielding me completely with her body. A heavy thud. I saw her let out a grunt, her body shuddering violently. Roxanne? My voice was shaking. No answer. In the thick smoke, I could only see her eyes were closed, blood slowly trickling from her temple. Roxanne. In my instinctive cry, I inhaled a large amount of dust. My chest ached fiercely, a sense of suffocation welling up. Another loud crash, as more glassware exploded in the heat. The flames had already licked the ceiling, turning the entire lab into an inferno. My consciousness began to fade. In my last moments of vision, the lab door was violently kicked open. A familiar figure burst through the smoke and flames, running toward me. Violet's face flickered in the dancing firelight. Leo. Her voice cut through the sound of explosions and crackling flames, reaching my ears with perfect clarity. And then the world went completely dark. Ethan was immediately taken away by the police. Arson, intentional injury, the evidence was undeniable. What awaited him was a massive fine and a long prison sentence. My parents would probably spend the rest of their lives paying off his debts. Fortunately, my injuries weren't serious, just damage to my respiratory tract. Roxanne was admitted to the intensive care unit with extensive burns on her back and arms. A week later, she was transferred to a regular ward. When I went to see her, a nurse was changing her bandages. Leo? Roxanne turned her head. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, then quickly dimmed. I didn't think you would come. The nurse finished and left, leaving just the two of us in the room. Thank you. I walked to her bedside and said sincerely. Roxanne smiled, a faint, weak smile of someone recovering from a serious illness. Protecting you was something I promised you I'd do. I failed before. I couldn't break my word again. She paused, her eyes downcast. I heard you're planning to apply to Arden University. If we meet at Arden, can you give me another chance? I set down the pork rib soup I had brought for her. Arden is a great school, but it's not the right fit for you academically. Don't compromise your future because of me. Sunlight streamed in through the window, falling on her pale face. I opened the container. Drink it while it's hot. I got the recipe from the doctor. They said it's good for wound recovery. She clumsily reached for the soup bowl, her fingers still trembling slightly. Watching her stiff movements, a pang of sadness hit me. The room was quiet, except for the regular beeping of the medical equipment. Will you come see me again? Roxanne asked suddenly after taking a sip. Those eyes that had once made my heart race were now filled with cautious hope. Before I could answer, she quickly added, "Never mind. Don't come." She turned her head away, shrugging with forced nonchalance. "Keep moving forward, Leo. Don't stop for anyone ever again." My throat felt like it was blocked. "I will." I took a deep breath and smiled at her. The college entrance exams went smoothly. Both Violet and I were accepted into Arden University. The class party was set for the weekend after the scores were released. The music in the karaoke room was deafening. The classmates who had once crammed for exams and complained about tests together were now free of their burdens, laughing and joking around. "Leo!" The class president clapped me on the shoulder. "That was amazing, man. You made it into the top 10. It's all thanks to Violet tutoring me," I said with a smile. "Hey, you still had to be willing to learn. See you at Arden." "See you at Arden." I took a sip of my drink, feeling a sense of ease I had never felt before. By the time the party broke up, it was already past 10 at night. The students trickled out in small groups, saying their goodbyes in front of the karaoke bar. "Leo!" A girl from our school walked up to me. "Can I get your number? Maybe we can keep in touch." Before I could answer, Violet appeared at my side. "Sorry, you'll have to get in line." My heart skipped a beat. She put her arm around my shoulder, a humorless smile tugging at her lips. The girl mumbled an apology and walked away. The night breeze blew, carrying the warmth of summer. The streetlights came on one by one, the traffic in the distance blurring into a river of light. Violet let go of me and looked down. "Let's go home." The street was quiet, with only the occasional car passing by and the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. Playful thought suddenly struck me. You said she had to get in line. So, I stopped and tilted my head to look at her. "Who already has the spot?" The streetlight cast a glow on her face. Violet raised an eyebrow, pretending to think. "Yeah. Who do you think it is? Do you know this person?" I shot her a glare and started walking ahead on my own.
No idea.
"Don't know them." "Leo." I was wrong, I was so wrong. She coaxed in a low voice, catching up to me. I stopped, crossing my arms and looking at her. "Fine. I'll graciously give you one more chance. Say it again. Properly." She took a step forward, very, very close. "I want to be number one in Leo Porter's heart. I want to permanently occupy the most important place in your heart. Leo, I love you." I blushed. Her directness caught me off guard. Violet leaned in slightly. "Now, can I kiss you? I mean, I can't stop myself from wanting to kiss you." My palms grew sweaty with nervousness, and I nodded. A light kiss landed on my lips. It carried the scent of the summer night and a hint of leftover cola. It was sweet,